I'd like to do something different, show how I'm using one tool as the main driver for all this work I'm doing with AI. That tool is Raycast. Raycast is a launcher or a shell that replaces Spotlight in macOS, but that doesn't really do it justice because it's an incredibly versatile and hyper-configurable tool that does so many different things. And I use it to just do a lot of things with AI tools and do it fast. Let's take a look. Raycast, I launch it with Command Space. It has my applications and commands. It's really good at quick links, like bookmarks for things I use a lot. These quick links can also have shortcut keys mapped to them. And this is really great because when you're trying to do a lot of things with many different tools, being able to switch between them quickly really helps. So for example, I have Hyper-G, ChatGPT, Hyper-I, Gemini, Notebook LM, Hyper-U, AI Studio. And these are tools I use all day long and I switch between them all the time. Being able to do it quickly works well for me. I don't have shortcut keys for everything I use, but even something that doesn't have a shortcut key is very easy to get. For example, I might use the OpenAI Playground, Colab, or the Cloud Console. And the same is true for applications. There are applications I use all the time. I have shortcut keys. Hyper W is for the voice memos app, which I use all the time because a lot of what I do these days is I record myself talking about things. Sometimes I record conversations and I use the output to write documents or other artifacts. And of course, Visual Studio Code. These are things I use all day long. So you might think, well, shortcut keys, that's nothing that big. But the thing about Raycast is everything works really, really fast. And to me, being able to shave, even if it's just milliseconds from how long it takes me to do the next thing, makes a huge difference. Sometimes it's the difference between am I going to do it or kind of lose interest at some point in between. Another thing you do a lot with AI is copy and paste, right? Because you're creating some text in this app and then moving it to the other app. Raycast has fantastic clipboard management facilities with the Clipboard History. So I have Hyper-C, opens the Clipboard History, and I have all the recent things I copied in, and it's very searchable easily. As you can see, it will always bring things like the thumbnail of the thing that you're looking at. In fact, if you're copying an image, it will even do a little bit of OCR to help you search the text in it. So Clipboard History, super useful. Raycast has infinite Clipboard History. It works super fast to search things, and I use it all the time. Another thing I do a lot, and I guess you do too, when you work with AI tools like chatbots, is you prompt them, and probably you have some kind of collection of prompts that you tried a few times and work well for you, your prompt library. And Raycast is just fantastic for managing prompts because it has this snippets features. So I have here modifiers S opens a bunch of snippets that I can search through, and they can just be a bunch of text that I can insert, and they can also have parameter substitution if I want to grab information from the clipboard, browser, or parameter. That's very easy to do. So let's say that I have a bunch of HTML code and I want to convert it to Markdown. Hyper-G, I get to ChatGPT. I use my HTML to Markdown snippets that includes all the HTML copied from the clipboard and some instructions. Run it, and I'll have my Markdown generated by the LLM, which actually is quite convenient because it will usually skip unnecessary artifacts and things like this. So I can now copy it, and it's now in my clipboard, which is very convenient. For another example, I kind of like to tweet sometimes, you probably noticed, but getting something that fits the format can be a little bit of a challenge. So I'll try something like this. Oh, how much I love monkeys. Monkeys are so cool. They eat bananas, they eat peanuts, they're so playful, they jump around in the trees, and just my favorite animal. Alright, so I can get this into the clipboard and use my tweet prompt, which will take it from the clipboard and include instructions. And now I got this tweet generated, and it's in my clipboard. Nice, monkeys are the best swinging. Okay, very cool. I don't know, maybe I want to post it right now. Here's the cool thing I do a lot. I like to have a script I can run immediately for some utility or something I need to do. It's really convenient to have scripts in this format that UV likes, where there's like a stanza in the beginning of the script with the necessary packages. Let's say I'll go to Gemini, which I like for coding, and I'll tell it I want a currency converter with a fancy terminal UI using the textual library. Now I can take it into the clipboard and modify this for snippets, and I'll use my script prompt, which will have all the instructions how to create this kind of scripts, and from the clipboard the definition I've given. And so Gemini created for me a script in this format that I requested. I can now copy it. It will be in my clipboard, and I can hyperlink, go to VS Code, put it in the file, save it in the terminal, and run my script. It's a currency converter with a fancy terminal UI. This is useful because there's all the time like some script that I could use right now, and just being able to generate it quickly and immediately run it is convenient. I do a lot of writing by dictating and using modular prompts to direct an AI agent to help me do, at the very least, the first draft of the writing. And it looks something like this. So I will have some recording usually in voice memos, and I can copy it, Hyper-U, I go to AI Studio, I'll have this thing here, and I have the snippet for transcript cleanup. I'll run this thing. Back in VS Code, I'll start constructing my prompt. I have a master prompt for writing, which has all the different sections I need. I will want to add a style guide, which is kind of encapsulates everything I like and don't like. Style, spelling, do this, don't do that. I'll use structures I usually follow. Let's say maybe something like the pyramid principle, like where you start with a conclusion and then unpack it. And I'll want to direct this to some kind of audience, and so I have an audience, maybe full stack devs. Finally, I want to include the input, which I have in the clipboard. That's the stuff I recorded. And so with this, I can now go to the agent, tell it read the prompt and execute saving the new article. The agent now has all the context to write the first draft for me. Raycast didn't do anything fancy here. Constructing such a complex prompt would be a lot of work if I had to manually copy and paste from different files. It was quite easy. So I have here a first draft, and I can copy it. It might be in my clipboard. Something I really do a lot working with AI, working in general, is put stuff in gists or gists, whatever you call them, the little one-off pieces of text that you can put on GitHub. It's insanely useful, sometimes just for myself, sometimes for sharing with other people. And Raycast has many cool extensions. One I really like is for gist. You can create a gist. It already has the stuff here from the clipboard. I'll call it my new article and article.md. I'll create the gist. Now I have the gist here. I can copy it to Clipboard. I can Command-Shift-O, open it. I can also get the link. This is really useful. All day long, I copy things around from the clipboard into GIS, from GIS into the clipboard. Very useful. Everything we looked at wasn't really AI specific. Raycast did not do anything with AI. It just helped me drive work with AI through the browser with different apps or my IDE. But Raycast has great AI features built in, which I use a lot. One of them is AI commands. I have lots of AI commands. Some of them came built in with Raycast, others that I constructed. And AI commands are just a prompt that can execute using Raycast's built-in AI capabilities. So it's like a snippet that we looked at earlier, but already does the job. One thing I use, for example, if I read or someone says something and I don't really understand it and I need a definition of a word or a concept, I can go define. I have the define command, then I say, I don't know, I want the definition of monkey. And it will go execute the thing for me and giving me here a nice definition in the format I like. And it just looks something like this, just like we saw in the snippet. So it will have the prompt here. It can also include parameter substitution. So here I have an argument, the term to define. Super convenient. Another one is a command I created for helping me create this cool Unicode character titles to use in posts and things like this. So it's funnily enough called Wicked Unicode, and it will just take something from my clipboard and generate for me a few of these. I can maybe use it in one of my posts. Really simple, nothing special, but it's just so easy to do when you have AI so handily available. Here's another one that I use to construct this kind of post you sometimes put on LinkedIn with lots of emojis and catchy titles. I have this article in the clipboard and I'll call my LinkedInify command. This one uses Gemini, a solid model, but it does like to think a lot. No idea why it needs to make an HTTP request, but it did get something in the end. Pretty cool little post I can now copy, and it is in my clipboard and I can post it if I want. Here's one thing I use a lot, which is to summarize things I read on the internet, because who's got the time to read everything? This article, which by the way you should read, from Richard Gabriel, is really, really cool. But just to try, I have this summarize web page command, and it will read my open browser tab, send it to the AI, and generate a nice summary so that I know if it's worth reading. And it looks like this. The prompt, it knows how to get my browser tab, which is nice because everything's running on my computer. It has simple instructions, and it's running them with the model I defined, which is GPT 4.1. Last one I'm going to show you is my quick capture command. Often I work on something and I'm in the zone and suddenly there is an idea. I want to quickly capture it so I don't lose focus, which is, for me, it's very easy to lose focus. And I have this cute little command, capture. I just say, whatever. Great idea. We're going to have a monkey on a pedestal juggling. Now that I run this command, it will edit into my notes. This is also a good opportunity to talk about notes. So I have HyperN to bring up the notes facility. It's very simple. Like everything in Raycast, it is just super fast. And that's the thing that makes it so much fun to use. And this AI command just added into the notes so I can review it later. Great idea. We're going to have a monkey on a pedestal juggling. I don't know, maybe it's not such a great idea. It's going to be hard to get a pedestal. The command is simple. It just looks something like this. So it says use Raycast notes. This is tool use. Grab the stuff from the parameter node and format it without quoting, with the date and so on. So not so sophisticated. I could have wrote something like this in an extension in TypeScript, but it's just so much easier with AI. In addition to all that, Raycast also just has what you'd expect from any kind of chatbot software. And that can be quite convenient, if only because Raycast is just the fastest way to get to AI when I need it. One thing I can do, quick AI, tap here and say, explain the French Revolution like I'm 5 years old. And let's run it. Here it is. A long time ago in France, there was a king and queen. Yeah, very nice. And it also has like the kind of chatbot interface you'd expect, where you can have long-going chats. Now, one thing that is very nice in Raycast, except for it just being the fastest way to get to AI, I have HyperA, hide it, get it back up, is that it has access to all the models. And so one thing I want to do as an AI obsessive is get hands-on experience with all the different models, but I'm not going to have subscriptions to 17 different chatbots. And in Raycast, I can have any of the models, the OpenAI ones, the Anthropic ones, Gemini, Perplexity, Llama, Mistral, DeepSeek, all the good stuff. And they even have now access to Llama if you like running local models. I use it usually when I need something very quickly. In some cases, I use the web apps for ChatGPT or Gemini, but if I just need right now AI, the easiest way to do it is with Raycast. Raycast AI running on my machine is also a great host or client for MCP and for tools that are included as extensions in Raycast. They have all these goodies here. AppleScript, for example, can do things on my Mac. Basic memories, like the kind of memory from other chatbots. Very simple implementation. It's an MCP server, the calculator, calendar, clipboard, curl for fetching, interpreter, file system MCP, all the different image generators. It's really the nicest way I found to experiment with MCPs and tools. Granted, it's not always that reliable, not Raycast's fault. I think the format of MCP and tooling is emerging, but is maybe not completely there yet. But really nice way to give it a try, experiment with different options, and see how it works. Let's try a little bit of vibe coding, for example. I'll use the file system MCP and I'll tell it, create a single file HTML app of a currency converter, save it in a temporary file, and show me the path to that file. So it's doing something. All right, so it says it has now the currency converters for me in the temporary directory. I can very easily with Raycast get to the file. So SS file system, it was TMP currency converter. All right, pretty cool, pretty decent vibe coded currency converter. So here's another example. We'll use the Playwright headless browser and we'll tell it, go to Hacker News and bring me the 3 top items. Cool. It opened the browser, it got the links, it shows them to me here. And it has a lot of cool other features. One of them is that you can create presets. So you can have a preset where you select, which model you'd like to use, add extensions, and package them together. Sometimes you can use them like GPTs or gems and Gemini with custom instructions. We've been at it for a while and we could go for hours. Raycast is just such a versatile and rich tool, and we only looked at a tiny little bit of what it can do. I hope you got an appetite to give it a try and see if you can use it to help you drive a lot of work with AI and maybe also other things. If you like to learn from other people and how they use it, you can go to the Raycast YouTube. They have lots of interviews with people who show the setup they have and how they use Raycast. Hope this was useful. Until next time, have fun!